All right, so Confucius. You picture, like, I don't know, a serious old guy, right?
Yeah.
Like, meditating under a tree, all peaceful.
Yeah, classic image.
Right. But get this. What if I told you there's a whole other side to Confucius? Like, he could have been this total maverick. That's what's so cool about what we're looking at today. This text, it puts Confucius right here in the 21st century. But before we get to, like, Confucius launching a startup or something, let's go back to his time, ancient China. We're talking warring states, period. Something like 770 to 476 BC.
Think total chaos, like everyone wants to be in charge, nobody can agree. It was a time when everything was changing constantly.
And that's where Confucius comes in.
Exactly, that kind of environment. It was made for someone like Confucius to, make his mark.
It's true, like, every superhero needs that origin story. But here's the thing. Our source says Confucius wasn't just some, like, quiet thinker. This guy built a movement.
Oh, absolutely. And his reach was incredible. We're talking 3,000 students. Plus, he had this inner circle, 72 disciples, totally dedicated.
Wow.
That's like influencer level stuff right there.
No kidding. And forget the wise old man image. Apparently Confucius was huge, like over 2 meters tall.
Really?
Yeah, practically a giant back then.
Yeah.
Can you imagine this, like, towering figure debating philosophy?
I mean, talk about intimidating.
Right.
It's like his height matched his influence. The text even talks about how he traveled around, talked to rulers, almost like they were equals.
No way.
Yeah. Shows how much people respected him, especially in a place like ancient China where everyone knew their place.
Yeah. Makes you wonder, what would a guy like that do today? With the internet and everything? We're going to find out. Because in part 2, we're diving into Confucius, the ancient sage, as a modern-day phenomenon. So we've seen that Confucius was, like, a huge deal back in ancient China. I mean, literally, the guy was a giant with tons of followers. But what if we plucked him out of the past and dropped him into today's world?
Time traveler Confucius.
Exactly. And get this text, it says he wouldn't just be some professor, it says he'd be a global phenomenon.
It's kind of a mind-blowing idea.
Right.
But if you think about what he taught, his core ideas, and how things are today, it's not as crazy as it sounds.
Okay, so break it down for me. What would 21st century Confucius be like, according to this source?
They're talking online education mogul.
Yeah.
Like a savvy entrepreneur. Oh, and a social media superstar, all rolled into one.
Hold on. Confucius, with 1 billion followers, teaching online.
Exactly.
I mean, I'm trying to wrap my head around that.
Think about it. This was a guy who devoted his life to education.
Yeah.
To, like, self-improvement. To
Yeah.
building a better society through personal growth.
Right.
And today, we're all about online learning, personal development, making a difference.
Yeah.
It lines up.
So Confucius would be doing webinars, dropping wisdom on Twitter.
For sure. Imagine like a masterclass, but at ZU Academy, and Confucius is the teacher.
Wow.
With so many people wanting knowledge, wanting to grow, he'd have a massive following.
Okay, I can see that. But business. How does an ancient philosopher fit into today's business world?
That's where his focus on ethical leadership comes in. Remember, Confucianism isn't just about you. It's about building a good, harmonious society.
Right.
His ideas on leadership, integrity, social responsibility, they're so relevant to what we're talking about now. With ethical business, social impact, all of that.
So he'd be giving guys like Elon Musk a run for their money.
Well, maybe. But more than that, I think he'd make us rethink what success even means. It wouldn't just be profits. It'd be about building businesses that care, about ethics, relationships, making the world better.
Okay, that's education, business. But this source, they get even bolder. They talk about Confucius as this powerful, behind-the-scenes figure, like and this is their word, a righteous gang leader.
Yeah.
That sounds kind of intense.
It's definitely the most out there idea in this whole thing.
Right.
But think about it. Confucius lived in a time of chaos. Power was often used badly.
Sure.
His vision of a harmonious society, it needed strong leadership, ethical leadership, even if it was behind the scenes.
So not a mob boss then?
No, not at all. It's about how influential people shape the world. Even without, like, official positions, it makes you think, what does it mean to be a force for good today? Especially with so many ways to wield power.
I'm starting to see how these ideas, even the really out there ones, actually make sense in today's world. But we're not done. This source gets super creative, taking famous Confucius quotes and giving them a 21st century spin. Trust me, you've never heard Confucius like this before. Right, so this is where this source gets really interesting. I mean, they take these famous Confucius sayings and they give them a total 21st century remix.
Yeah, it's kind of a bold move.
Right.
But it makes you think about these ancient ideas in a totally new way. taking them out of context like that.
For sure. And they start with this one. It's classic Confucius, right? Is it not pleasant to learn with constant perseverance and application?
Yeah, classic.
But instead of just leaving it like that, they turn it into learning new things is like scrolling through TikTok. You can't stop. You're totally hooked.
It's catchy, right?
It is. It takes all that like formality out of it. Makes you wonder if he was alive today. Maybe he would be on TikTok.
Totally. But it makes a point, right? That feeling of learning something new, getting totally absorbed in it.
It's true.
It's like we get that same feeling now with information overload.
Totally. Like how many times have you gone down a rabbit hole on Wikipedia or YouTube?
Exactly. And that's what's smart about this approach.
Yeah.
It takes these old ideas, and by using stuff we get today, it makes them relatable.
Yeah. And they do it again with this one. The original is, when I walk along with two others, they may serve me as my teachers.
Right, another classic.
And their modern take is, there's always someone better than you. Your social network is your online university.
It's so true, though. Think about it. The people you follow online, the podcasts you listen to, all that stuff, it all shapes how you see things.
So it's like our social media, it's not just for like goofing off. It can actually teach us things.
Exactly.
I like that. But I do wonder, is it really that easy? Can we really get deep wisdom from like scrolling and swiping?
That's the big question, right?
Yeah.
I mean, Confucius, he wasn't just about like learning random facts. It was deeper than that. It was about personal growth, making the world better, finding your purpose.
Right. It was about living a good life, not just knowing stuff. So maybe it's not about choosing between ancient wisdom and all the tech we have now. Maybe it's about using tech in a way that helps us live better, more meaningful lives.
I think you've hit the nail on the head. It's a journey, figuring it all out. And there's no right answer. But just thinking about these ideas, even in a fun, kind of lighthearted way, it opens up your mind to new possibilities.
I like that. And honestly, I think that's a great place to wrap things up. This whole deep dive into Confucius, it's really made me rethink what I thought I knew.
Me too.
And the source ends on this really thought-provoking note. It's their modern version of a Confucius quote. They say, learning is like scrolling through TikTok, asking questions is like posting on Zhihu, thinking is like binge-watching shows on Bilibili.
It makes you think.
It really does. So to everyone listening, we hope this has given you something to think about. How can we all, in this digital age, keep learning, keep asking questions, keep exploring these big ideas that have been around for centuries? Until next time, keep those brains engaged and keep on learning.